In this video, I'm going to tell you who's going to be the next presidential candidate for the Democrats. I'm also going to tell you why millions of Americans might be paying more than $8 for a gallon of gas. But before we talk about any of that, I have to discuss this insane story about P. Diddy because it looks like they're ready to bury the truth about his actions. Now, why do I say this? Well, one of the prosecutors in his case happens to be the daughter of the mastermind behind the whole Russia collusion drama.
Diddy's prosecution team is all made up of white women led by James Comey's daughter, the former FBI director. Patriots!
Her name is Maureen Comey, and I think it's about time we see why she is such a controversial member of this prosecuting team. We already know how her father, James Comey, pretty much started the whole Russia collusion story against Donald Trump.
There should be no fuzz on this whatsoever. The Russians interfered in our election during the 2016 cycle. They did it with purpose, they did it with sophistication, they did it with overwhelming technical efforts, and it was an active measures campaign driven from the top of that government. There is no fuzz on that. It is a high confidence judgment of the entire intelligence community, and the members of this committee have seen the intelligence. It's not a close call.
This very serious topic is that James Comey wants us to believe, and we have this photo here, that he saw a cool, these are his words, cool shell formation on my beach walk. An old mob saying, basically, you take somebody 8 miles outside of town and then you put them 6 feet in the ground.
So do you remember James Comey, the former FBI director, you know, the Russia guy? Yeah, well, he posted this little ditty today. And if you don't know what this means, it actually is a code for assassinating the president. And yeah, right away, the right people jumped on it, like Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, who then replied with this tweet that they were taking this threat seriously.
We also know how the CIA likely used this scandal, among many others, to basically help Biden win the election in 2020. I mean, people like General Flynn have been calling James Comey a traitor for a long time now.
If you get this message, start thinking about what you're gonna give up, because you're gonna give up some of your freedom because you're going to go to jail.
But for some reason, despite all of his alleged deep state connections, his daughter has been allowed to lead some of the most controversial and important cases in the history of this country. She was part of the prosecution team during Epstein's trial in 2019. She also led the trial against Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, there's a very interesting thing about that particular trial. You see, while she was preparing for the Maxwell trial, she received sealed transcripts of the 2006 case against Epstein, and she didn't release any of them. Only in 2024 were those documents finally released, and they were as horrifying as any of us thought.
Dozens of pages related to the Jeffrey Epstein grand jury investigation will be public. Within the last 2 hours, Governor DeSantis signed a bill ordering the records release
and paid them to recruit and bring him more victims. The grand jury testimony records reveal prosecutors sought to undermine the victims' credibility, accusing them of the crime of prostitution.
The teenage girls testified that they were also paid cash or rented cars if they found him more girls. The more you did, the more money you made, one detective testified.
According to these documents, the case against Epstein was so weak because of how state prosecutor Barry Krischer treated the only 2 underage witnesses.
The Palm Beach State Attorney's Office was ready to let Epstein walk free. No jail time, nothing. Prosecutors in my former office found this to be completely unacceptable, and they became involved. Our office became involved. Our prosecutors, as this 2008 article recounts, presented the ultimatum: plead guilty to more serious charges that required jail time, registration, and restitution, or we'd roll the dice and bring a federal indictment.
One of these witnesses was a 15-year-old kid, and the prosecutors treated her as if she was the one who had committed a crime. She was grilled for the jokes she made online.
The prosecutors also asked the teenage victims what their home lives were like and if they had posted pictures to their MySpace accounts, showing themselves wearing skimpy attire and drinking alcohol.
The damn prosecutors even called her a criminal for accepting money from Jeffrey Epstein for certain activities. These documents straight up showed how Florida prosecutors let Epstein go, and yet they were not released to the public by Maureen Comey for more than 4 years. So I'm going to let you guys decide if she should be going after another evil criminal who has deep ties to some of the most powerful people in the country. Moving on, let's talk about Jasmine Crockett, who just leaked the information about the Democratic candidate for the 2028 election. In a recent interview, she revealed what kind of candidate Democrat donors have in mind.
And I think that that's a natural fear because we just want to win. So there's a lot of people that are like, you know what? Like, let's go find the safest white boy we can find.
She also revealed why the donors feel this way.
It is this fear that the people within the party, within the primary system, will have about voting for a woman, because every time we voted for a woman, we've lost so far.
Well, they're not wrong, since the last 2 female candidates they put against Donald Trump were destroyed in the polls. And we all know how much money Kamala Harris wasted on her directionless campaign.
I can't get over these numbers. $10 million for Beyonce to step up and back Kamala Harris publicly. $5 million for Megan Thee Stallion.
The Harris campaign spent like $100,000.
I did see that.
Know about this?
It's hilarious.
To build the studio.
And although Oprah says she wasn't paid a cent by Harris, the campaign did pay her company $1 million to produce Oprah's star-studded town hall.
Now, Miss Crockett also confirmed that the name has been picked already.
I can tell you that there is one specific candidate. I had a donor on the phones with me telling me that all the donors are lining up behind that candidate.
So the question is, who could this man be? A lot of Democrats fit the criteria she's given. Senators like Chris Murphy and John Ossoff have already raised millions upon millions of dollars this year. However, they don't think they are serious candidates for 2028. The first one is Pete Buttigieg, who said he won't run for Senate or Michigan's governorship, which leaves him in a good spot for a presidential run in 2028. He's also been one of the most vocal Democrats against Trump.
Look, a budget is literally a zero-sum document. And so if you cut over here, that is something that is being traded off for tax cuts for the wealthiest.
I also have to say that the contrast couldn't be clearer. Donald Trump claimed to be incapacitated by bone spurs so that he would not have to serve and let somebody go to war in his place. And that spirit continued through his presidency.
And we already know just how much the president absolutely loves him.
And when they took over, Buttigieg, who has no clue, he drives to work on his bicycle with his, in all fairness, with his husband on the back, which is a nice, loving relationship. But he didn't have a clue. This guy didn't have a clue. And he's actually a contender for president. Between him and Crockett, you can have that party.
But he isn't the only one in the running. The person who, in my opinion, could be receiving the most amount of money from Democratic sponsors is none other than Gavin Newsom. I know he failed to show any cojones when Biden was crashing out on national television.
Are you going to be the next Democratic nominee?
No, our nominee is Joe Biden. I'm looking forward to voting for him in November. He's going to be our nominee.
We've all had those nights. All of us, not one person watching hasn't had those nights.
Well, we've not all been in presidential.
But it's not about debates. You have good moments, you have bad moments.
He's also shown that he's terrible at handling any crisis. But the man certainly does love his sneakers.
I'm so fresh, man. Man, y'all scared to do it how I do it.
If you've been keeping up with the crazy liberals, you'll know that they have a tendency to forget about all these things right before the election. And don't forget, Newsom has been trying to woo some of the conservatives with his controversial podcast.
But would you do something like that? Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. So that's easy to call out, the unfairness of that. We have a broader problem, which is immigration policy and asylum abuse. The asylum system is broken in the United States of America.
You have the power to do something about it in the state, don't you?
We lost. We lost the popular vote and we lost the electoral vote. We got
We got crushed because of the incumbency penalty. Was it because of inflation? Was it because of interest rates? Was it because of immigration? Was it because we were too, quote unquote, woke?
On top of all of this, he can't legally run for another term as the California governor, so he is also in a great position to run. And just like Pete, he also raised more than $15 million for Kamala Harris, which shows that these two guys can easily bring in that mega corporation money. Now, Trump has said Newsom can never win in 2028, and he's not wrong. The California governor has a terrible record as an administrator.
In California, a little train going from San Francisco to Los Angeles that's being run by Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. Did you ever hear of Gavin Newsom? He has got, that train is the worst cost overrun I've ever seen because this government is not going to pay. I told our very great new Secretary of Transportation, he's doing a good job, Sean Duffy, I said, we're not going to pay for that thing. They are just, it's out of control. This is something that you don't have things like this. It's not even conceivable. Like 30 times over budget, 30 times.
Mr. Speaker, the moment of reckoning for California Governor Gavin Newsom has arrived. While I have been fighting to protect Medicaid benefits for Californians, the governor's irresponsible actions are now threatening deep cuts for Medicaid in California. You see, Newsom has made California the only state that offers Medicaid to everyone in the state illegally. That has already cost us $9.5 billion just this year in state funds, and now it also threatens to cost us even more in federal funds.
He's also one of the people who are making sure that millions of Californians have to pay $8 a gallon for gas starting next year.
I really enjoy my surrounding area. I've been in this area for 13 years. It's a gorgeous state. We have some of the worst leadership ever, though, and you cannot convince me that we actually voted him in. I do not believe that we did. He's been recalled twice, and both times failed. You can't tell me that he's not a plant. So the latest thing is Phillips 66 and Valero have both announced that they're going to be leaving the state. One of them is in October of this year, and the other one will be in 2026. The speculation is that gas prices will increase by 75%. They're saying maybe $8.43 a gallon. I have a couple more years and then I can leave. That's all I can say.
And on top of all of this, Newsom, he's just weird. I don't know exactly why, but he seems to be tweaking out in pretty much every other interview and press conference.
I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in.
Governor, the budget is obviously a paramount process for you and the legislature, and I just want to ask you about something on the other end of the budget on a different topic on public safety.
It's literally, we came through Germany, and then we made it to France.
Bedroom and
we got through the border.
Right.
And speaking of tweaking out, there's been a huge scandal where 3 of Europe's top leaders were caught in a train cabin with some very suspicious looking stuff on the table.
It's literally, we came through Germany, and then we made it to France.
Bedroom and
we got through the border.
Now look, we of course can't be 100% sure that it was some kind of illegal substance, and official sources have told us it was just a tissue.
Posting higher quality photos, the Elysee Palace clarified the white item in question was merely a tissue, whilst the other was a cocktail stick.
However, I want you guys to look closely and notice how they both hide those 2 objects at the same time, and just take a look at what Macron does with his hands. And of course, this won't be the first time a head of state has shown suspicious signs.
Sweet mustache.
I mean, we nearly had a president who gave the most important speech of her political career after getting hammered.
I just have to remind you, don't you ever let anybody take your power from you. You have the same power that you did before November 5th. And you have the same purpose that you did. And you have the same ability to engage and inspire. So don't ever let anybody or any circumstance take your power from you.
So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they were having a party in that train cabin. So why don't you guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thanks for watching today's video, and I'll catch you on the next one.